listening to Talking with T, a podcast with all the streamer friends.
Alright, welcome back to another episode of Talking with T. I'm here with PopeyJN. Hello.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, look, apart from it being hot as hell outside, we're getting there. Getting there.
That's the way to go.
And yourself, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for accepting to come on. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me, man. Always a pleasure to get to chat to other people, so always a pleasure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's what it's about. You know, getting to know other streamers and stuff like that, hearing out different people's stories. So, for some of the viewers that, you know, may or may not know you, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Look, my name's Braden, but online everyone knows me as PopeyJN. I've been doing this for, 11 years now? So it's been quite a while, starting on YouTube back in 2011 and then kind of moving off and doing a bunch of different things. I used to be a video editor professionally for a studio called Maker Studio before they got acquired by Disney. So I used to work as an editor kind of as needed for a bunch of different partnered channels. Did one or two videos for people like Markiplier and PewDiePie at one stage. And then from there, I kind of started doing my own thing. The channel's gone through a lot of different variations of what it is. Over the years, I guess we started very young, kind of doing our own version of a Jackass kind of show. And then we moved over after that kind of wrapped up, and I started focusing a bit more on gaming and then branching out with voice impressions, a bit of music, and just turning it kind of into a variety channel. And then, yeah, kind of transitioning that in the last 2 years over here to Twitch.
Very nice. 11 long years. And we're going to talk about your experience, what it's like being in the industry to do with content creation and your kind of experience on YouTube and Twitch, stuff like that. You are 23, correct?
Correct, yeah.
98 or 97?
98.
98.
Yeah.
I mean, our generation is the best generation, if I'm going to be honest.
No, like there's benefits for every generation. I mean, I kind of now feel like the grandpa of the group whenever I'm with a friends group, because I still kind of throw back to a lot of music from like the 70s and 60s and stuff, and everyone's just like, yeah, but all this new music. And I'm like, I prefer the older stuff.
Yeah, that's true. What was it like growing up in the late 90s, should I say?
I guess it was interesting to be on that cusp, I guess, of the 90s and then 2000s. We got great benefits from it, and then great kind of, I guess, challenges with it. One of the challenges being the fashion that was in the 90s has kind of carried over a little bit, which I don't know whether some of that should have followed us over, but anyway, it has. And then, I don't know, like the pop culture scene, I think that's kind of the reason I took the path I guess I did, was because 90s and early 2000s pop culture with music and movies and the prevalence of entertainment was kind of, I guess, at the forefront of when you and I were growing up, at least.
True. If I'm going to be honest, the best music and, you know, the music that I would always kind of fall back on is the early 2000s or throwback 2000s. Like, I have a whole playlist called Nostalgia Lane, which dedicates just to throwback 2000s music. It's awesome.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely one of the best kind of places for music. I was having this discussion the other day with my sister. We were we were driving, and for the first time, I think ever for me, we were on this station that we have over here called Gold FM, which is basically, for those of you that don't know, it usually is the one that caters for people that were growing up in the 60s and 70s. And for the first time on Gold FM, I actually heard an Eminem song, and I was like, "Oh no, oh no, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that old, am I? Come on."
Eminem making it on Gold FM. How is that possible when it's like 60s, 70s music?
I didn't think of it, but then my sister was like, "Yeah, but it is like almost 30 years now since that music came out." And I was like, "Ugh. Ugh." Just saying it like that is ugh.
I mean, it's somewhat similar of the like here in Sydney. We have this radio station called Smooth FM, and Robbie Williams is the face of that, including Michael Bublé. Yeah, they would play a lot of 70s to kind of 80s music. And
Yeah.
by 70s music, we're talking Fleetwood Mac, kind of Dreams, that kind of vibe. And I remember I just feel Robbie Williams, and I'm like, no way. There's just no way. And they play Kylie Minogue, I Should Be So Lucky, and I'm like, again, come on.
Hey, we're getting to that age, dude. It's happening.
I know. Like, we're getting at that age now where we like feel old, and some of the jokes might be different than, you know, what a 13 or 12-year-old might say and do, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy. Because now all the stuff, I mean, I have nieces and nephews and everything, and the stuff that they listen to, I was listening to some of it the other day. Don't get me wrong, some music today is really good, but there's a lot of it where I'm just like, come on. This is really what we're doing now.
Yeah. I mean, like songs like songs like Cardi B's WAP, I'm like, okay, that's the type of music we listen to now. It's just the same. It's got the same beat, same like hi-hat rhythm, and you're like, that's it. Like, we need. What happened to the style of music that it was when me and you were growing up? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Again, like being on the cusp of the late 90s, I mean, I guess we grew up with a lot more stuff. Like, we grew up with a lot of, we came off the gangster rap kind of stuff in the late 90s, and then we had the pop invasion that was the 2000s, and then there was like a little bit of punk rock sprinkled in there, and then you moved over to like your emo rock, and I don't know, we just had a lot of variety. And today it's interesting to kind of see that shift.
Very interesting to see how like music has shifted, and the stylistic choices that rappers or artists make. Beyond like music, you know, being one of the things that you kind of grew up on in the late 90s, like what was your childhood like back then to now?
Um, I don't know. It was kind of the same, I guess, in the way that it is now, where I would always, around kind of people, I would always kind of be the guy trying to crack the jokes, doing all that. So nothing about that has changed. That's still kind of what I do here on Twitch. I just kind of goof around, which is what I've been doing for most of my life. I don't know. I guess the only difference is maybe I'm a little bit less reserved, I would say. I was a very reserved kid, very quiet, very solemn.
Yeah.
I guess that's the big change from going from kid to adulthood, though. You kind of get to break out of your shell a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. And as an adult, you kind of need to learn to do that, especially, you know, once you gain experience, like working at a job, going to uni, stuff like that, you know?
For sure. Look, I think, again, schoolyards are a very interesting experiment of putting a bunch of people together and trying to get them to work out everything and try to work through everything in the most turbulent kind of time of your life.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, but it's also kind of where I started doing a bunch of my stuff. That's where I found all my friends that I still hang out with to this day, and we all literally would stand around and just try to make each other laugh. So I guess a lot of the sense of humor kind of just comes from those experiences, and then it's kind of just shaped everything else.
Yeah, 100%. So you kind of see it as like, high school shapes the person that you are, or shapes you into adult life, I guess.
I think to a degree, depending on, look, not everyone's experience is going to be the same
Yeah.
by far. Like, mine was just a very run of the mill. I was kind of just an in-between dude, wasn't popular, wasn't the one that was kind of getting picked on heaps. I was just kind of in the middle where everyone let me do my own thing. And I guess that's kind of, I don't know, I guess that kind of area kind of shapes you because it gives you the freedom to do more or less what you want. But it also, I guess, with the YouTube, and because I started all this when I was like 13, I started doing all this stuff. So I guess a lot of what I had in terms of friend groups and the kind of sense of humor we had carried over to what I was doing anyway over on YouTube. So I kind of just diverted everything and made it all this one kind of collective space, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I've always tried to do. I've always tried to make it feel like it's just friends hanging out and shooting the shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to go. You have your friends, you have that kind of banter, that kind of thing. That's what you kind of thrive off on.
Yeah, for sure. It was a big thing to sit around with friends every day, try to just make each other laugh, and then bringing that over. Because I used to stream with my friends like way back in the early days. That's kind of where we all started. We used my channel, I guess, as this weird hub where everyone could just kind of do their own thing. And for a while, it was more like a weird community channel, I guess, where there was like 6 of us just whenever we wanted to upload something, we'd all just upload it there as like a weird hub. And then it kind of shifted a bit more where we all wanted to do our own separate things on our own separate channels for a bit. And then once we kind of started adulting and getting into the real world, a couple of us drifted off from doing it, and the rest of us still kind of just play casually off stream now. And we still have that exact same banter, but we've kind of now just chosen to keep it a bit more reserved.
I mean, that's just a normal kind of basis of life,
No, for sure. Yeah, but it's one of the, I guess one of the best things I think I ever did with that channel was kind of getting all the friends involved and stuff. And even now, like, we all talk about it and have the best memories of doing all this.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I've wanted it to be for a lot of it. And that's why whenever I stream with other people, we always just have the best fun. It's kind of like a camera's not there, and that's the kind of I guess the best way to go about doing this.
I
don't know if that answered your question at all. I just went on a random tangent.
Yeah. No, you're good. 100%. Like, streaming and doing what you're doing is all about having fun. That's the number one thing that everybody says. Have fun doing what you're doing.
My goal whenever I do this kind of setup, like an interview or just a chat or a podcast, is to try and give people an insight into what this career is kind of like.
Bingo.
That's the big thing that I try to get away from it. So if I ever tell a story that's boring or anything, please tell me to shut the hell up and we can move on.
No.
But very early on, I fell into that trap where I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it a lot more for algorithms and feeding and growing and trying to do all that. I guess what people nowadays call play the game. And try to get like all the algorithms and everything on your side. But at a certain point when you chase that, you stop kind of getting fulfilled doing this career.
Yeah. When you kind of see that perspective, and when you fall into that trap, and I'm sure everybody has, and people still do,
Yeah,
no matter what. looking at it from my perspective and looking into other people, and you can kind of get a grasp on what their intentions are and playing the game. And I kind of think of it like this. When I watched Big Brother in 2019 when it came back, and I was seeing how people were playing the game and what their tactics were, and then I said to my dad in the commercial break, I said, "Man, life is like Big Brother." Literally.
Kind of is, though, in the weirdest way. I mean, no matter what you're doing, no matter what career you're doing, you're trying to play a certain kind of game to get yourself forward. It is kind of like that. I guess that's why people gravitate, I guess, towards all that kind of reality TV stuff. That's kind of what this career is. For anyone that's interested in getting into this career, that's what you're kind of signing up for in a weird way. It's a very scaled back version of reality TV.
Yikes. I mean, yeah, 100%. I think it's important to talk about what streaming is really like, and I've really been trying to get that point across, especially with my previous podcast episode with my mod, the Dalton Chaps, where we had a really
great episode, by the way. That was great.
You watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. And we talked about, the OCE community and how cliquey it is. And that just comes down to, people's intentions and the kind of reality TV aspect behind it. Because what those streamers like to do is, and I'm sure other streamers think this same way too, is that they only associate themselves with viewers that are the same or bigger than them. So, for example...
It's a weird one.
Yeah. So, for example, like if they average that kind of 30-40 range, they would either communicate and associate with people with that 30-40 range, if not 50-60 range. And in a way, that it's fine. But at the same time, it kind of affects streamers my size that are trying to get themselves involved in the OCE community and have their shot at growing too. And, Twitch is a beautiful place to kind of make friends. And I've seen people make friends and even long distance relationships form from that. But at the end of the day, you got to kind of project a message to the viewers where you're like, you know what? Don't just tune in to my friends. Branch out, get involved, and talk to other creators, and no matter what,
Yeah, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, a lot of my friends have come from YouTube or Twitch. I've never met them in real life. And yet we've been probably the closest of friends for years now. I mean, PPP Watt, who's one of my best friends, he's over in Canada. I've never met him. We've been friends for 6 years. And he randomly found my channel one day. We kind of did similar content and we just kept on chatting. And then eventually, just became friends. I remember I did test a little bit when Facebook Live came out, trying to do something over there. And from that, I got invited to this Australia, New Zealand creator messenger thread. And in there was Deadly Snake. So I became friends with him. I introduced him to PPP White. Now all three of us, we're all the best of friends. And we chat. I chat to at least one of them a day. Hands down. And again, I've never met these people in real life. It's the same in Sydney and Melbourne. I chat with Bubble every now and then. I chat with Natomic every now and then. These are all people that I speak to pretty regularly, and yet we've never met, we've never kind of had that chance, but we all, like, PPP Watt and stuff, if he was ever over at Australia, like, hands down, we'd all catch up at a bar somewhere and just hang out, go for a drink. Like, that's the kind of friendship that it is. It's interesting what can come out of this and what we do in this. It's fascinating.
100%, 100%, but you got to do it in the right way, because it doesn't matter how big or small you are as a creator. At the end of the day, you're a person, you've got a platform, and you've got to have the correct influence on your viewers.
Yeah, look, and you got to, it's like anything in life, you've got to be careful. Like, at the start of it, I was not very selective with who my friends were online/offline. So I used to chat with every single viewer at any hour of the day, and they all had, like, because YouTube doesn't allow you to hide it, they had access to my personal email account, which I would get emails on day in, day out. Discord can sometimes be the same depending on the day. And that's why, like, I'm always happy to chat with someone. I'm always happy to lend an ear to someone, but I've had to scale that back in the last couple of years. And it's not me being a dick. What it comes down to is being really selective about who I bring into that inner circle. And the reason for that is because it's not only something that can affect myself, but can affect my family, my friends that I hang out with in real life frequently. It can affect all of them. And that's a big reason why you've got to be a little bit more cautious when you start doing this and you start getting a few eyeballs on you. Now, again, I'm not saying it to be a dick or saying it in a way where it's like I don't want to speak to people. But there does come a point where, and it'll happen no matter what size creator you are, whether you're big, whether you're small, there will come a point where someone tries to overstep the boundary.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens to everyone. I'm sure you've had it. I've definitely had it. It's you just have to, and it can take a while. It can take you a few different times to figure it out, but you need to try and figure out as soon as you can how to navigate those waters.
Yeah, 100%. Popey's words of wisdom.
I know. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, everyone.
Subscribe, like, leave a comment down below.
Johnny, I'm doing a TED Talk.
So, PopeyJN, I
Yes.
want to know, what is the meaning behind PopeyJN?
People always ask me this, and I wish I had a better story. So in high school, my last name's Pope, so everyone used to call me Popey.
Okay.
So that started pretty early on. That started at the end of primary school. Everyone would call me Popey. Even the teachers. Like, I think by the end of primary school, there was like one teacher that knew my actual name was Braden. And the rest of them were just like, yeah, Popey. And I was just like, yeah, that's me, I guess. And then in high school, it carried over. And then when I went to create the channel, it's so stupid. I don't know why I wanted to do it this way, but I was just like, well, everyone calls me Popey. I'll just be Popey. And then my weird 12-year-old brain was like, oh, everyone calls my older brother Popey, so I need to be JR. Made sense to me at that time, even though he's nowhere near interested in all this stuff. So I was going to go JR, and then when I was typing it, I pressed the J, and my finger simultaneously bumped the N. And just out of pure laziness, I just did not change it. And I was like, yeah, close enough.
I mean,
that is the story of my name.
I
wish
mean,
it was a better story.
no, it's classic. Like, there's creators that do that, and it ends up being like a funny thing, like haha, you know. It's cool. It's cool. Popey Jr., but that turns into JN. Lovely.
Yeah, and now I just get people asking me what does JN stand for, and I'm like, yeah, look, should have been JR, but I figured N is in junior as well, so it's just a different variation.
Mm. And I can definitely relate to the Popey. Like, my name is Chiana, right? And
Yeah.
when I was in high school, if not, when I was actually in primary, people out of nowhere just started calling me T-Dog. T-Dogs. I don't know what that was. And I didn't like it, but I would just go along with it. And then when I was in year 8, my PE teacher at the time called me T. And then everybody started calling me T. And I'm like, okay, I don't mind it. Like, T,
Yeah.
go for it. And then once I got involved with Twitch, I found T to be sentimental because my friends would call me it. So I'm like, oh, do I really want to be called T on Twitch? But then people started eventually calling me T. Like, if I were to say hi to fellow streamers, they'll be like, hi T, how are you? And then I'll be just like, I gotta embrace it. So I'm just like, whatever, like anybody can call me T, I guess.
So yeah, that's another cool story though. That's the thing. I think anyone that has a gamer tag or anything like that, a lot of them end up with some silly one that they decide in high school, or even just a brilliant one. Like, some of them are brilliant. But in my case, it's a very silly one that I started in high school, and then I just kept on out of sheer laziness, just did not want to change and just kept going with it.
I mean, it happens. It happens, You
It happens.
You just gotta go with the flow.
That's it.
So going back to the whole late 90s thing, I just want to ask
Go.
a question, and then we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
What were your interests like in your childhood compared to now? I don't know if I already asked that.
No. So interesting, because music was a big part of
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Even from a young age, music was everywhere around my house. One of my brothers plays guitar. My father plays guitar. My other brother plays piano. So I came from a very musically inclined family. So I guess later on in life, it kind of was the thread all the way through life that led to a lot of the stuff I did, like music producing and everything later on. In terms of gaming, I would enjoy games, but I wasn't the biggest gamer.
Mm.
Like, I'd still go outside, ride bikes, do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't think my interests have changed too much since then, to be quite fair. I think it's all stayed relatively intact and what it kind of was, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Oh, well, when I was a kid, music was always around me. Mum would kind of bring me up with some of the 80s music and different artists like George Michael, Blue. I don't know if you know the band Blue.
Yep.
Kylie Minogue, Justin Timberlake, Robbie Williams, all those people. And I would love listening to them. And I was a Kylie Minogue fan, still am. Justin Timberlake fan, still am. I started singing when I was around 5, 7, because I think I shared this story before. I think it was Christmas Day, 2007. Mum knew I liked Kylie Minogue, and so she gave me her greatest hits album called Ultimate Kylie. And I remember holding it. It was silver, and the font was white, and it had a picture of her on the side. And it said Ultimate Kylie, and I looked at it, and I remember screaming. And then the first thing I did was play the DVD, and it had like music video compilations from back then to her current song, which I believe was I Believe in You. back then. And then that's when she got cancer, etc. And then I started singing because of her. I was singing along to music, and then I just loved to sing, loved music. Even started playing the piano, the guitar as well.
That's awesome, though. Because that's the same thing. Like, my music taste and everything hasn't changed too much. Obviously, it's a lot more broader, I think, than
Yeah.
it was in the 90s. Reason for that, I think I just started going out and wanting to discover new music. So
Yeah.
that would lead to a lot of going to open mic nights and little gigs that are in like really divey bars or something to kind of just hear singer-songwriters and all these emerging artists. Other than that, like, I'm the same thing as you. It's just all the music I grew up on is still in heavy rotation on Spotify.
Is your Spotify like weird though? Like you get all these different types of music?
It's a weird mess. I have one
I agree.
playlist which is just called A Bit of Everything, and it literally is that. Like, there's everything from classical piano to pop to rock to screamo to metal to death metal to punk and everything in between. Like,
Wow.
it's just a weird kind of up and down roller coaster.
Wow. There you go. It's actually really cool how all the underground artists that have started from the bottom to Triple J have eventually, started getting a record label and getting themselves out there. Like Tame Impala is a great example of that. Like he started on Triple J and then now look at where he is. Lime Cordiale, they started on Triple J. Now look at where they are.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's the good thing, I guess, about where we are. And that's the good thing about this kind of thing, like Twitch and YouTube and everything, is that now you don't really need the proper channels to put it out. And everything is available for you to discover. If you have an interest in particular genres of music, that's why I always recommend to people to search for covers of songs that they really like. Because, yeah, you're going to hear the song over and over and over again if you really like it. But I always recommend to people try going on YouTube, searching for a cover of that song, and then filtering it by views, and try to go to one that's got like 200 views and see, because a lot of the times they can surprise you.
Yeah, I mean, it is surprising. It really is. But with your current lifestyle, what would you say your hobbies are?
I guess weirdly enough, I mean, I've turned the last the last hobby I've kind of found into another YouTube venture. So myself and PPP What, we're really big fans of just horrible movies, like just horribly made movies.
Yeah.
So we just decided to launch a new YouTube venture called the Rec Cinema, where we just sit down and watch those movies and commentate over the top, and we're just making like the dumbest jokes over the top of it. So that's
Yeah.
become like a new outlet and a new hobby. But apart from that, I mean, kind of just the usual stuff. I mean, I do play games off stream still. I do play music off stream. I do help produce music off stream. So I'm still kind of tinkering away when I'm not on stream and busy doing projects. Just not necessarily being the one in the foreground, I guess, or at the front of it. Usually behind the scenes for a lot of it.
Very nice. Yeah. That sounds really, really cool. But are those the kind of things that you do off stream? So editing, music, stuff like that?
Yeah, like I still every now and then will get hit up on email from an artist asking me to listen to a demo. It's very rare that I say yes, just because time is a big factor in that. But a lot of the time, if I hear something that I really kind of connect with and can hear something that I think we could work on, then I'll usually dip my toe in a little bit. But other than that, I've kind of yeah, like video editing, I'm still really passionate about. Still going to college and stuff for that. So yeah, I think just everything that I've been doing over the last 11 years has just culminated to this weird point where I'm now just kind of mixing and matching and putting all of them together.
Yeah, so editing music, that's your new kind of interest, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it's changed for the last 10 or 11 years. I mean, ever since I've started the YouTube journey and editing video and stuff, I've always just wanted to keep on sharpening that. Music, same thing. I've been sharpening, trying to get better at guitar, a little bit of vocal work here and there. But again, mostly for when we do produce something that I can chip in an idea. That's mostly why I practice a lot of that stuff now. So it's about finding, like on my phone, I've got like probably close to 100 different little snippets or different chord structures. And then when I hear lyrics that might fit that, I give it to an artist and we tinker away at it and kind of refine it, work at it. So that's kind of, yeah, what my interest is now in music. And then now kind of moving into video editing and stuff. It's just now trying to reach that next level, I guess.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
What about yourself? What do you do off stream?
What do I do off stream?
Yeah.
I just go on my iPad, literally. Don't even go near my PC unless I'm that bored and I want to go on Twitch and just veg out on other people's streams. But I just go on my iPad, watch YouTube. That's pretty much it. I also do uni. But I'm that same like you. I love singing. Love to sing still. That's my passion. Listening to music as well. What else? Even editing. I have to do editing for my podcast, Talking with T, on YouTube.
Plug.
And I like to do graphic designing. That's been a hobby of mine as well, graphic designing. All the overlays that you see on my streams, done by me and nobody else.
That's impressive, dude.
Yeah.
See, that's maybe one of the things I should get better at some point is actually being better at graphic design. Mine are pretty bad.
They're not bad.
Mine are just all templates.
They're not bad, but it looks very professional and
I don't know
kind of
about
basic,
that.
Like professional and basic to the point, that kind of thing.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. Like Photoshop, like I'm it's a point of pride that I still do all my own thumbnails on YouTube and stuff. I haven't really harped that off to someone else yet. And the same with video editing, actually. Just because I do enjoy refining those skills. But graphic design, I need to get a little better at. I do little things here and there, like Deadly Snake's channel. He has a little thing where he has all of his social media, all of his social medias just spinning around in a circle, and it changes from like Instagram to Twitter to YouTube to Twitch to all that. So I do little things like that, but I need to start getting into bigger projects, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what you want to do, go for it. And it'll be kind of interesting to see where PopeyJN goes. Even now that you got your new PC, I'll be interested to see kind of what you can do with your content and what direction you want to head to.
Gonna be more stable. No more wagging. I don't like it. No more wags.
In terms of, your career, what do you do for work?
I'm retail. So I work casually retail, just salesman. So, yeah.
Nice.
do that casually, and then again, I do a little bit of music producing here and there. I do a bit of freelance video editing work here and there, and then Twitch and YouTube and stuff is just kind of another revenue stream. There's people that are very generous in supporting and kind of keeping what I do going, which is how I was able to get upgrades and stuff for the computer, which I'm really kind of grateful for. But it's been interesting, man. Like, it's interesting. I try to keep myself in every pocket, I guess, a little bit, and still kind of try to get those skills refined, because it's like anything. If you stop doing it for long enough, you're going to completely forget it.
That whole use it or lose it mentality?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, it does become a detriment sometimes where all of the projects that I try to work on all just decide to collide together on like the same day or something, but we get them done usually. So
Nice. Yeah. Very good. I mean, retail is a great place to kind of start. While you're young, you got to find the balance, like Karate Kid style, you know.
yeah. Thanks, Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, you're welcome. I am not Mr. Miyagi. If anything, you would be Mr. Miyagi. 'cause,
No, I'm nowhere near wise enough for that role.
I mean, 10 years of streaming. Come on, you'll
I'm
be
still
Mr.
learning
Miyagi.
though. That's the thing, dude. 10 years doesn't really mean anything. You know a lot more than I did when I started off. Like, I think your setup now, how many years are you into doing this?
Almost two.
Almost 2.
Mhm.
Right. So for the first 4 years of me doing everything on YouTube, or the first 3 years, all I was doing was opening up a shitty laptop with a shitty webcam and filming straight off that. I had no microphone, no nothing, no way to color correct, and very minimal editing. So everything had like this weird, because of the lights in here, had like a weird yellow tint to it because the webcam was that bad. So you're doing a lot better than I am
Thank
when
you.
I first started. So you got everyone that's starting off now. It's interesting now that you can kind of log on and literally get a play-by-play of how to set yourself up doing this kind of stuff. I didn't have that in 2011. Everyone was still like, the internet's like that weird place with cat videos, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the whole grumpy cat.
Yeah, exactly. It was like that or Fred that everyone knew.
Yeah, 100%. So you said you go to uni or college.
Yeah.
So what do you do at uni?
So I'm studying film and television production. So it kind of covers all the bases, everything in this industry, in the entertainment industry, I should say, rather.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surrounded by like really interesting creative people. I mean, we've got like the film and TV groups, which is all my kind of group. And then we also have musicians and everything that are downstairs in a different area. And then like in the same building, we've also got animators. So we kind of all get this weird crossover where we're all just bouncing off ideas, collaborating, and trying to come up with something that's half decent.
And where do you think TV and film will kind of lead you to? Like, where do you want it to lead you?
No, man. Like, as I said, I'm still very interested in sharpening the editing skills. I think at this moment, I'll go straight into video editing a bit more. Whether that's on film, TV, or whether it's just little projects to start off with and then it builds, who knows? But I don't know. I think that's where I want to go. Potentially writing as well, being a writer or director or something like that.
That's impressive, and I hope it all works out for you. Like, imagine me watching a movie and it says movie directed by Braden Pope. That would be pretty cool.
That would be interesting. I don't know if it would be good, but we're going to try.
Exactly. We're gonna try. That's all you can do. Try.
Worst case scenario, it's just a meh.
A meh.
And then in that case, you just go, thank you, sir. next.
Oh my god, Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande.
Pretty much.
Thank you. Next. Oh god. The irony of your follow alert on Twitch. literally, like when someone follows, it goes, "Thank you." Next. It's funny. But yeah, YouTube. Let's talk a little bit about that because you have spoken about YouTube and you do a little bit of YouTube. So when did you start going on YouTube?
I started the first channel that I had in 2011. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're now, what are we, 11 years in September from when I started. So, yeah.
I'm getting old. This face is not getting any younger.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been 11 years.
Yeah.
So what type of content have you done throughout the 11 years and how has that changed?
So it started off just as, again, this channel with friends. And we were all trying to make our own version of a Jackass kind of show. I think we did like 12 episodes. And they were pretty popular. Like, I think one of them had like 150,000 views at one stage. So they were getting like kind of popular doing that. And then that group kind of disbanded and it left the channel pretty idle for 6 months. And I was kind of like, well, what do I do? Do I just give up, don't do anything, or do I just try to transition it into something else? Which is ultimately what I did. So in 2012, I started uploading game footage. Started to really try to refine that. I was horrible when I started, like horrible. I started at the age of like 13 or 14, making all the cringiest jokes that fucking teenagers make, and also running off horrible equipment. And then kind of weirdly enough, I went back and watched it in 2016, 2017, when I had a couple of years distance. It was weirdly just like a weird PewDiePie thing going on. I guess that's who I was trying to model off. And then eventually, after a year or so, you can't exactly just play into a character that's not you for a while. So I finally started just getting more comfortable doing this and being myself. And then it kind of, I kind of just expanded from there. I did a bit of music producing for a band over in the US. We did 2 albums, and that kind of led me into introducing a bit of music stuff. I was doing voices at school with all my friends, trying to make them laugh. So that introduced a bunch of the voice stuff. And then it just became this weird variety channel kind of, where it was just like gaming, music, voices. So yeah, now it's just whatever the hell I want to upload. I don't really have a rhyme or a reason for what I upload. It's just, if I want to do a gameplay that day, I'll do a gameplay. If I want to do a bit of music, I'll do a bit of music. If I want to just goof around and do silly voices, I'll do that. So yeah, it just kind of evolved into this weird variety channel, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's impressive to see how much that has changed and kind of, you know, in a way it's documenting the stages of life and what you want to put out there. But just going back to character, right? So with the character that you thought, I guess, wasn't you or where you wanted to be more you, are we talking like Miranda Sings not you, or?
No, not so much that. I think in the beginning I was just kind of modeling myself maybe too much on other people that came before, and kind of was falling into a lot of their mannerisms because I thought that would work. When I was 13, I was like, well, this is what works, so I might as well just do that. But then after a while, I mean, that's why even now, like, I changed my whole intro to what's going on, everybody. I'm YouTube's PopeyJN. I did that kind of when I flipped the switch into trying to be more myself. But the reason I kind of stuck with that phrase, I used to watch The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, who did it before James Corden does it now. And he would always open his show by kind of saying, welcome to Los Angeles, California. Welcome to The Late Late Show. I'm TV's Craig Ferguson. And I read an article which he was kind of saying, I introduced myself as TV's Craig Ferguson because although everything you see on screen is like 95% me, there's about 5% that I kind of add on, which is the kind of over energetic kind of style for the TV cameras. So he's like, I wanted to be forward with the audience that you're getting pretty much who I am, but you're getting a little bit of a heightened version of who I am, which I always felt was very refreshing from someone in the entertainment industry. So I kind of just adopted that phrase just to let everyone know out the gate, this is pretty much me, but you're getting a slightly hyped up version because there is a camera pointed at my face right now.
Yeah, wow. What a meaning behind it. And I definitely agree with you. Every YouTuber is, and I'm gonna, as much as I don't want to, I'm gonna make it out quite cliche, but you always get when YouTubers do serious videos like, what's been going on? The truth. My life update. The truth. They're breaking down into tears and they're like, what you see.
You missed the most important, vital part, which is the start. That's all you need.
What you see is just a more energetic and positive version of me, and inside I'm not okay, and I can't pretend that everything's okay when it's really not.
Yeah, it kind of just falls into what was that Katy Perry thing where she's just like, you have to pretend that you're fine, but you're not fine, and someone has like that music playing over her.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. That's what I was getting at. You picked it up.
It just falls into that, yeah.
You picked up what I was putting down. So yeah, look, the meaning behind it is absolutely amazing. And you know, being yourself is important, so I definitely encourage that. Sorry I had to turn it into cliche or you know, something more funnier to it, but I mean, that's the main thing, you know, you gotta be yourself.
No, 100%. That's the thing. Look, again, that's the reason I picked that specific phrase, because I didn't want that cliche moment to kind of happen where I kind of had to break the character, so to speak, and then kind of be like, guys, I'm just having a really hard time right now. I kind of am pretty upfront with that statement as well, being like, hey man, like, this is pretty much me, but there is some stuff that I'm going to reserve back because I want it to just be for me. So it's kind of in the spirit of that as well, which I think is a healthy thing to do when you're doing this, because it lays out boundaries.
Yeah, 100%.
Again, going back to the earlier conversation about boundaries.
Yeah, 100%. So with that channel that you had for 11 years, how well were you doing, and kind of, you know, what was the whole vibe about that?
Yeah, look, so the first channel I had, which was the original PopeyJN channel, ran from 2011 to 2018. And from there, we ended up growing. I think by the time that channel finished, it was like 80,000 people.
Subscribers?
Yeah. Yeah, and we were averaging close to 100,000 people a video.
Holy crap, holy.
It got pretty crazy, but with that, I, in 2016, signed over to a company. because back then we still had the good old MCNs or multi-channel networks, which was basically your safeguard and your way of getting paid. Back in the day on YouTube, you couldn't really be independent. Back when I was still kind of growing the channel, you still had to have an MCN behind you to even get into the partner program. Signed this contract, was great, was making some money off it. It was great. They were helping me out and everything. And then we got to the start of 2018, and they switched CEOs of the company. And he came in and just tore that entire company apart, basically. Started just getting very shady with everything, started delaying payments for every channel that was under them, and then was basically hiding the fact from creators that the company was going broke.
Yep.
And was on the verge of bankruptcy. So, and then we got to, I think it was October or November of 2018, and me with about 5 or 6 other channels. Some of them were massive channels that you guys would all know. I'm not going to say which ones, just in case they don't want me to, but we all tried logging on one morning, and all of our accounts all the passwords have been switched, because you have to give your MCN an admin password to your account so they can do all the stuff that they need to on their end. So I went to sign in, password changed, all of my content got deleted off the channel, and the CEO shut the company and ran off with all the money, and he's never been found or heard of again.
Oh my god. You know why I was shaking my head? I was like, because it's like classic industry type shit. When you look at documentaries from music artists or content creators, they always talk about how shady the music industry is, or how tough the upbringing was with a music industry, especially being a female. Like, do you remember JoJo?
Siwa?
No, not Siwa.
Or
JoJo.
the one from like way back in the day?
The one from like way back. Leave, get out, right now.
Yeah. That one. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was with a record label and she got fucked over like you did. And her whole life turned upside down, issues with weight, and that's a common trend with females too. They often have problems with weight and eating disorders and all those kinds of things. So that's why I was like, classic kind of, because it sucks. Like, it's a shame that it's happened to you and to those people.
Yeah, look, it was definitely a hard thing, because basically overnight, 7 or 8 years of work was deleted. I didn't get an opportunity on that channel to kind of direct everybody over to a new channel that I was starting. So that part of it was hard. I mean, if you go back and watch or look at the channel now, it is just an empty channel. Because I started the new one, they changed the name to the PopeyJN archive, which now has nothing on it. And I think they've dropped it down because it's been inactive now for a couple of years. It's now dropped down to like, I think it's like 16 or 17,000 people left. But I mean, the crappy thing was I couldn't tell anyone I was moving over to this new channel. So even now, I mean, I play Gmod every now and then and go on the RP servers just to mess around for a video. I still run into people that I played with back in those early channel days, and they were like, "Man, why'd you quit?" And I was like, "I didn't quit. Like, I've just moved the channel." So it's phenomenal to me that I still get people thinking that I just stopped and deleted everything. But yeah, it took a while to get over that one, but at the end of the day, it was a chance to switch the content because it under the scope of, I guess, a corporate kind of structure, it was starting to feel very monotonous, very much like work. The contracts that I'd signed had all this different stuff in there. I had to deliver a certain amount of videos every week, and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, that was hard enough. I mean, in 2016, when I signed it, I signed a 1-year deal stating that I had to do pretty much a video every day. And that was on top of me doing year 12. So it kept me pretty busy.
Yeah.
And then we signed, I think I signed a 5-year deal in 2017 that was meant to run. But yeah, look, it's just one of the things that kind of happens in the industry. It's as shitty as it is, and as much as it screwed with me for a little bit, it kind of, the silver lining, I guess, is that now I get to call the shots again. I get to do the content I want. And even though it's to a very, like, scaled back version of the audience I once had, it's still kind of just, that's the weird thing. Like, I tried to just make it, whether it's small or whether it's the large numbers, I try to have the same amount of fun and try not as much as I can to focus on numbers. Because if you try to focus just on numbers, you would drive yourself crazy every single time that you do that. But if you just focus on the fun aspect of it and trying to create something that you find funny, that's usually where people connect with it the most, from my experience.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the great silver lining, the fact that you can be your own boss, call the shots. That's important, you know. And hopefully, you know, things fall back into place, but it's a shame that they couldn't allow you to shift your viewers over to another channel, or, you know, keep doing what you were doing.
We left on weird terms. I mean, they were very angry with when I left, or when I was wanting to leave, and to the point where they were kind of saying stuff like, we're going to get another host to do it, and still keep it under the PopeyJN name and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you can go for it if you want, but I don't think it'll work. Like, PopeyJN, it's not so much that it's a that I'm not replaceable. I mean, anyone's replaceable. But I was kind of just like, it's kind of just like, it kind of is my thing. Like, it's my sense of humor. Having someone come in and try to duplicate my sense of humor is just going to be weird, unless they've genuinely got that same sense of humor. I don't know. I just found it very strange for them to try and do that. Which, from what I've heard, they did try, not on that specific channel, but they tried doing a pretty, like, carbon copy base channel before they shut down, which had someone that was very much my same mannerisms, and but it just didn't play out the same as I think they were wanting it to play out. But hey, that's corporate.
That's business. But the projects that you were doing, like music, gaming, all that stuff, was streaming involved throughout the 11 years on YouTube?
Towards the end. Yeah, towards I think about a year before I shifted over to Twitch, I was dabbling in streaming. And I kind of built myself up, because it is a very different format than doing a pre-record video, which was what I was kind of doing for years and years and years. The pre-record has its own structure and its own kind of skill set you need to hone. And then streaming is just another thing altogether, for me at least. I mean, for the kind of recorded videos. I know roughly how I want to structure it when I go in, because I play games like a certain way where I just get in and kind of fuck around. So I kind of know roughly how I want to structure it. With streaming, I genuinely, it's probably the most nervous I get in my day is like 10 minutes before I turn on the camera, because I don't know where it's going to go. Like, I don't know where the conversation's going to go. I don't know whether the games are going to work properly. I don't know whether they're going to break. I don't know if there's going to be glitches in them, because I try to kind of go in as blind as I can to everything, just so that it's very in the moment and in the pocket.
Mm. But
What about you though? Because you do pre-records and live streams as well. How do you find it?
pre-recording and live streaming?
Yeah, how do you find the difference between them?
Pre-recording is streamers, at least I think a couple I've pre-recorded for. Matty Boy, I pre-recorded for him.
Yeah.
And Kale's. And Cal's Ryan, a friend of mine who quit streaming for a little bit. I think it's a hiatus. I interviewed him.
Yeah.
And he was very adamant about pre-recording. I want to pre-record it. That way it's more comfortable and it's like it's me and you there. And I'm like, okay, great point. I don't mind. We can pre-record. It doesn't bother me. Like, if there's an option to pre-record, I'll do it. Great. Edit it, put it up. And editing is a bit of a pain in the ass because there's an hour of footage of a podcast that I have to edit. And the difference is when you're live streaming, it's present, very present, like you said, and I get nervous myself. And you don't know where things are going to go. You don't know if you're going to do well. You don't know if you're going to do shit for a stream. You don't know how you're going to act when you're on stream. It's all very go, 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 go. It's more, I would say it's more stressful streaming than it is pre-recording, I guess.
100%. But your mind is focused on so much stuff when you're streaming. Like, even right now, I'm looking over here. This is my screen. I can see your stream. I can see the Discord that we're in. I can see your stream's chat. I can see all of that. When I'm streaming, it's the same thing. This screen that the camera's balanced on, so I have two screens. This one's usually the game, so that when I'm actually focused playing the game, I can talk and kind of look like I'm talking straight onto the camera, more or less. But then over here, I've got OBS. I've got, which has all my different scenes on it, all my different graphics, all my different stuff on there. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Then I've got my Twitch chat over in the corner. And then down at the bottom, I've got all those bloody sound effects and everything that I kind of do during stream. And then I'm focused as well. I've got the guitar sitting right next to me. I've got my bloody teddy bear that I don't know why that became a thing, but that just did one day. I was just like, oh, I'll just bring the teddy bear on and do all that kind of dumb stuff with it. Now the teddy bear is kind of like a weird like guest host in a way, where everyone now gets very disappointed if I don't show Ted. So
Like,
it's it kind of just evolves. It evolves.
I mean, I used to be a bit nervous to stream, but now I'm not so much. When I would sing on stream, I'll be really nervous, like the most out of anything. But then people started redeeming for me to sing more, and then, you know, I'm a little bit fine with it now, but I'm just like, oh, I effed up a lyric, or oh no, like I sang that really bad, but I'm gonna keep going and make fun of the situation. And then there's podcasts where there'll be technical difficulties, or I'll do a certain thing wrong, and then a streamer pulls me up and they're like, hey, and I'm like, shit, great. So just things like that of the like. And even when pre-recording, if the streamer's not happy with what they said, they can be like, hey, can you cut this out? Let's run it back. And then we'll run it back. I guess, I don't know, pre-recording might be a little bit more easier than streaming.
Yeah, I mean, editing makes that kind of the easiest factor, I guess, in what we do. I mean, if you're doing pre-records, it's kind of like me. Like, I sit down with a recording session when I pre-record for YouTube. I usually end up with a minimum of an hour of footage, and I try to cut that down to 5 to 10 minutes. And it's not so much a full gameplay anymore, but it's now just highlights or gags that I really think were funny moments. So it becomes like a weird montage instead of a full kind of gameplay now. Unless I'm doing something like a Life is Strange or a Walking Dead or something. But most of the time now, like if I want to do those kind of story-based games where you keep everything in, I now just do that for the streams. And then like just the funny one-off ones where I can get in and just do the dumbest gags. They're now kind of the ones I keep on YouTube exclusively and use them as pre-edits.
Yeah. I mean, that's really good. You know, whatever makes things easier to do, that's the way you gotta go about
for
things.
Sure.
But in terms of streaming, I want to talk a little bit more about that. So what made you start going on Twitch and streaming from YouTube?
I think it was just the fact I became friends with a lot of people in 2020 who were doing streaming exclusively on Twitch, like my buddy Jackal, Buster, Doc Antoine, all those kind of guys. We would all get into these recording sessions together and we would just have a drink or two and we'd just be laughing our asses off the entire time from start to finish. And it kind of just felt like the same relationship that I had with all my buddies back in high school, where we all just got in and goofed around. So I guess that was the big kind of appealing thing for me. And then through meeting all those guys, they became like super supportive of what I was doing as well. And we all kind of were trying to just help each other grow a little bit and build each other up. And then when we all got kind of affiliated and everything, some of them decided to stop for a little bit, some permanently, and some of them were just like, life's just a little busy right now, so I might pick it up again in a year or two. So we all just kind of arrived at different places in life. And then we started kind of going out our own ways again, which just gave me the opportunity once I got affiliated to kind of now branch out. Like I now chat with, again, Atomic, I chat with you, I chat with Bubble, I chat more so with like PPP Watt and Deadly Snake, and Deadly's just getting really into Twitch now, so we're all kind of back together, just kind of supporting him, trying to get him growing, and it's a lot of fun. Like it's all just friends hanging out, trying to make each other laugh, which again is just all the stuff that really is really what I started off doing and what I kind of enjoy doing. So, yeah, I've always just kind of gone with whatever I feel is going to be the most fun.
Yeah. I mean, I got inspiration off of streamers or a streamer to start streaming on Twitch. And I was mainly involved with a particular community, but I got involved into their community and the dynamic of what it was like, getting a taste of what streaming was like, how to build a community, what to do, how to address your audience and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. He seems to be doing well. Let me see how I can do this. Like, I play Minecraft every now and then. Let's see what I can do. I want to build my community and have fun. It wasn't as hard or easy as I expected it to be. It's way much harder than what it is. But I just feel like I should have tuned into more streamers before getting involved with streaming, because at the end of the day, this streamer became corrupt because his community became corrupt, because it started getting a really toxic environment to be in. A lot of it got to the point where the mods were kind of taking influence over his streams, and he was giving the power to his community to create an influence rather than him as the streamer, and that turned to shit. And so wasn't the best thing to look at, but at the end of the day, you learn, and that is not what to do. And so I'm doing my own thing, and you got to stick to yourself, you know?
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the thing. Look, there's a lot of streamers that give too much emphasis to their community or too much power. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about finding the balance. You can't do this if the balance isn't even. You need to have an even balance between creator, audience. And when you start blurring those lines, it could become a free for all in a way,
Yep.
and not in a great way by any stretch of the imagination. It becomes just a weird kind of chaotic group of people who are all battling for control at that point.
Bingo.
Which never ends well. That's, again, like I always say to people that ask me about streaming and starting the stream, I'm like, choosing your moderators is like the same thing as choosing your friends. You need to be a little bit cautious when choosing them online. You need to really know that it's going to be a fruitful endeavor and not just a very toxic, chaotic experience for yourself or anyone else.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And you definitely hit the nail on the head for sure. As a streamer, no matter how big or small you are, whether you're a 5 to 10 viewer like me and yourself, 30, 40, 50, you have a platform, you have an influence, and you gotta not blur those lines, is how you put it. So, yeah, well done. You hit the nail on the head with that one.
Look, it's not always the easiest thing to do. I mean, I can see how people get out of control with it, and I'm speaking from my own kind of experience. I did get out of control with it for a little bit as well, where everything became very blurred and stuff. And I think you could see that. I mean, there was a big kind of portion of my time streaming and stuff and creating pre-records where everyone kind of started dropping off. And the reason for that was just because I kind of got too comfortable and started blurring the lines too much, and it just started feeling lazy and soulless. And when it gets to that point, if it does get to that point, it sometimes is unavoidable. You will run into it once or twice if you are going to stream. And that just means you need to shake things up a little bit. It's the best thing you can do for yourself. Nobody's kind of immune to it. It will happen at one stage or another when you're jumping on and doing streaming. So you just got to try and keep it fresh for yourself, keep it fun, keep it loose, and then everything else sorts itself out.
Yeah, 100%. And there goes Popey's words of wisdom.
Welcome back to Popey's TED Talk.
So how long have you been streaming for on Twitch?
On Twitch, this is my second year.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, there you
I was going to
go.
say, you and I are around the same kind of... I think I started streaming at on Twitch kind of exclusively in the middle of 2020.
Yeah. Same here, July 26th.
Yeah, I was going to say around the same thing, like the June, July kind of area. Yeah.
What?
So I think
is...
you and I are around the same kind of mark with the Twitch stuff.
Oh, no way. There's a streamer who streamed the same time apparently. And they're doing much better. I mean, everybody has their own kind of pathway on Twitch, and I mean, at the end of the day, you got to care about what you're doing. You got to care about what you want to portray to your viewers. You got to care about what you're doing. And that streamer lost control because he didn't care at the end of the day. And then that's why he eventually stopped streaming. But going back to Popey's words of wisdom, with your almost 11 years of content creation, what was the number one thing that you learned? The take home message here.
It's a tricky one. There's a lot of lessons from doing this. I think the biggest one that I've maybe taken away again would be balance, how to balance yourself when you're doing this, how to have fun when you're doing this, and unfortunately from past experiences, how to choose friends a little bit more carefully.
Yeah.
That's a big one, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm sure you're the same. You're not going to sugarcoat it as well, but you will run into people when you're doing this, ladies and gentlemen, if you decide to come and do streaming, which I recommend people do at some stage in their life. If you are really extroverted and kind of need somewhere to get some of that energy out, that's pretty much what I use it for now, is when I've got built up energy, I just kind of come on here and drain it all out and then carry on doing my life for the next day or two and then come back, do it all again. But it's choosing friends is a difficult one when you're doing this kind of stuff, because you don't know who's legit and who's just trying to build off you and then ditch.
Bingo. Yep. 100%. With the people that and Dalton, me and Dalton spoke about this on the previous podcast, but the people that we associate ourselves with, I have respect for them. I do call them my friends. However, feeling a lack of support from them isn't the best feeling, and I have spoken about this on stream numerous of times. Not numerous, but occasional. Where, you know, the lack of support is the number one thing that I've kind of struggled with streaming, because at first they would tune into my streams, a couple of them would subscribe, which is great. I appreciate it, and then they stopped tuning into my streams, and then they changed the dynamic of how they stream, who they associate with, going back to earlier in the podcast, tuning into the people with the same amount of views or less, or more, and creating kind of their circle or their group.
It's a hard one, man. Look, it's the same as anything else when you're doing this. You're not going to always hit the nail on the head with choosing the right people. But at the end of the day, look, I definitely have friendships that I've had and they've stopped because those people grew past me and just kept on wanting to associate with people, as you said, kind of on that same level. However, there are some of them that I do know that have just become busy the more that they've grown, and I still check in on them. They still hit me back every now and then. So I'm like, hey, we just got like a casual kind of friendship thing going on. And hey, that's better than nothing. Like, lets me know that it wasn't just for the growth. And it wasn't all business, if I can coin that phrase. Going back to business. But it's yeah, it can be a tricky circumstance to navigate, but it is one that you will come up against again and again and again. And I don't know, the more that it happens, I think the more you get thick skin to it, and you kind of just go, hey man, if that's all it was, that's all it was. Like, we were just here to support each other for a bit, get each other through and try to grow. You kind of just have to, in my case at least, I'm not saying this for everyone, because again, everyone's very different in how they approach it, but for me, I kind of just got to a point where I'm like, I just need to learn how to shake that off a little bit when it happens, because you can't let it consume, otherwise it can get pretty messy and pretty dark.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, it is It's what it is, man. And I think it's important what you said, picking and choosing and those kind of Popey's words of wisdom. I think it's definitely something that needs to be shared more or kind of put more on show with streaming. Because have you been on YouTube, just out of curiosity, have you ever been on YouTube and searched how to grow?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't done it for a couple of years, but I think maybe once a year at least I would be searching for that. And you get all these very vague answers, and then people 90% of the time you get people trying to be like, sign up to my program, I will teach you how to be social media famous. It's kind of, I always equate it to the spam bots that come into Twitch being like, you want to become social media famous? Click this link. It's a weird kind of thing where that's just like a YouTube version of that, where people are just like, they've got like all their business suits on. Do you want to become YouTube famous? Sign up for my course. Trust me, it works. I did not get here just with the luck of the algorithm and knowing the algorithms. No. I worked hard. Here's the steps. When the reality of it is, with every platform, it's more like a, it's literally just like a luck of the draw. It's a big fucking Ferris wheel or a big spinning wheel, like on Wheel of Fortune or something that spins around, and if it lands on your number, you're like, cool, it's my turn.
Yeah. But do you notice, like, all those people that have the title How to Grow as a Streamer, it's all generic.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't look at the viewer count, because if you look at the viewer count, your mental health will deteriorate. You'll become depressed. Don't do that. When you're networking, make yourself known, make a name for yourself, introduce yourself. Don't self-promote, because that's the no-no, and streamers don't like that. So just like casually introduce yourself. If you want to build a community, make sure you make friends with your viewers, have that energy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I want you to record a video how to grow as a streamer with somebody with 5 to 10 views and somebody that barely has people in the chat. What would you say? Or if you're a 30 viewer, Andy, and they are giving you advice, which is turn the viewer count off, blah, blah, blah. What would you say if you still had 30 views but didn't have anybody in chat much, or you had that 5 to 10 average? What would you say then?
It's a good question.
Exactly.
It's a good question. I mean, yeah, it's a weird one. You either get the people that are very, don't do this, don't do that, don't act like a normal business person. And then you have the flip side where people are just like, hand them your card. Just get cards made up, hand them the card. Let them know who you are. Associate your brand with your face. So you get like all these weird mixed messages from people being like, don't be a typical business person. Then the flip side is, be a typical business person. They like that.
And if you do these things, I guarantee you they will work. Your time will come eventually. You got this. Excuse me. Bullshit. Sorry.
It's like I read into one. There was one video, I swear to God, and it was jump cut exactly like I'm about to do, where they were like, okay, what you don't want to do, you don't want to be looking directly at the camera. If you keep direct eye contact with people, they don't like that. It's really weird. Don't do that. It's not natural. Like play for play. That was pretty much how they freaking did it on the video. And I was like, okay, come on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all genetic and a glorified kind of approach. And it's false hope, mixed messages, like you said, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people taking advantage of the fact that the survey from like 2014 onwards was when they asked kids what they wanted to be when they grow up, they shifted towards social media influencer. Once that started happening, you started seeing all these people come out of the woodworks being like, I know how to do that. I'll teach you.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, but the
Thanks for
number
coming to our TED Talk rant about the business of YouTube. It's great.
and streaming. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like the number one thing, make sure you know who's there and who's not, and do it for you and have fun. As cliche and generic as that also sounds, that's the way you got to do it. There's no right or wrong way, you know?
And look, there's no magical pill that's going to make you work this. Like, here's the thing. I hope he doesn't mind me saying it because, you know, fuck it. I'm not gonna use his real name, but I have a friend, who's been doing streaming, for about a month, maybe 2, and he kind of came in with the mentality of after 2 streams, he was like, "It's not happening. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen." I'm like, "Man, you've only done 2 streams." I'm like, "There's no magic formula to get it to work." I was like, you will be streaming one day and someone will raid and it'll be a big ass raid of like 50 or 60 people. If you can keep like a percentage of that, you're doing something right and you're on your way. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. It exactly as your chat is saying right now, it needs time. Time is the best thing when you're doing this.
Time is of the essence. Yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap it up there, Popey.
Too easy.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a really great chat. We've covered a lot of awesome things, and I knew I had to get you on because I thought, you know what, this man has 10 years of experience and he has this story and I want to hear it. I really do. So,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
no, all good.